achieve anything, and you have the ability to. You go from self-efficacy that we talked about in last chapter to the actual outcome that you're trying to achieve. I talked about healing. I talked about manifestation. I talked about unlocking your potential. For you, this journey is going to be your own. The reason why I'm putting my experience in this is to minimize and to help you not just feel so marginalized and just isolated and that you're so alone. We all, from every color, from every race, from every orientation, from every gender, people have a very similar inner feeling system, inner thought system. For the most part, we are all brought onto this earth with the potential to achieve anything. Some we come with more of a disadvantage, but the potential in which life gives us, there's a lot of decisions and a lot of choices in the everyday. And so what I'm hoping for is the first chapter we really talked about understanding that anything can change. You can become a better version. You can heal. You can become whatever. You can change your value. So now, whether you are, you're healing and you're running towards the pain, and that's scary, or you're building your dreams and you're running towards the unknown, regardless, those are two sides of the same coin. What I'm trying to really instill is anything is possible, but if we can understand how we're wired, whether it's running into the unknown or like running into the fire, if you're a firefighter, or if you're hurt and you need to understand and you need to dig in. Sometimes you need to cut the wound open to pull out the shrapnel, the toxins, fill in the blank, the cancer. But realistically, what this is to hopefully let it go in smaller pieces and to use other people's experience, knowledge to help you go on your own journey. For me, this stopped becoming more of a therapeutic and healing journey after probably my 5th actual episode. I think episode 4.5 or was that the 6th one? I don't know. But anyways, by the time I was able to work through and get everything out. But what I really enjoyed was connecting with everyone else and realizing how common our pain is. And what this is, this lesson, I'm going to just do a bit of a summary and then really try to talk through some other really key concepts that will tie on to the reptilian brain and feeling comfortable and feeling a sense of inner peace and an inner excitement, and knowing when our body is trying to stabilize and then feeling that stabilization process and essentially being intentional so that way we can then use that momentum to create or change or to change our frequency or vibrations or whatever to be able to manifest. All right. The midbrain, as I've been talking about, the limbic system, is a complex network of structures. As I mentioned, the amygdala, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus. Honestly, I'm not going to get into any of those, but these are all parts of our brain that essentially work with the rest of our body. It sends hormones. The parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. These are two concepts that are really important to understand. Each one of these controls our body's involuntary functions. The parasympathetic nervous system is what's in charge of calming the body, promoting relaxation, diet, and healing. Then there's the sympathetic nervous system, which handles the body's fight or flight reactions. Why is that important? Why is any of this important? Realistically, the limbic system, the midbrain, as we've been talking, or what I've been calling the watchtower, the limbic system are both interconnected, as they the limbic system is the part of our brain that is responsible for emotions and memory. This is where our emotional responses are triggered, and this is where we sometimes experience our anxiety, fear, and stressors. No matter what we do, whether we are trying to heal, whether we are trying to act in the world, there's always going to be some sort of internal or external stimuli. And what I'm trying to help is understand sometimes where our body's reactions are coming from, so that way you're not reacting to a non-threatening stimuli. Is as simple as that. It's how do we work with the three parts of our brain, which each has its own function. Like I've said before, the reptilian is the most primitive one. The limbic system is where the emotional centers of the brain is connected, along with our motivation. So even though the neocortex is really what controls the conscious thought, language, and decision making, I don't know about any of you, but for me, when the emotions or the fear or all those other factors come in, I'm not able to think as clearly. And then, when the fight or flight response comes, and we talk, that's from the reptilian brain, it releases these adrenaline and cortisol, which I talked about in the previous one. But realistically, the midbrain is just pumping these hormones. As I mentioned before, the amygdala is part of the midbrain. And so realistically, what happens is it prepares our body to either fight or flee. And when that happens over time, when we feel secure, then what happens is then we have a sense of healing and recovery. So we essentially are able to regulate with the sympathetic nervous system. So fight or flight comes, and then the next stage of that is we feel a sense of security again. And that's what I'm really trying to help, is helping all of you feel a sense of security. Because I started feeling it a couple of years ago. That sense of calm, it is amazing. We're gonna really get into the midbrain and a little bit more of learning safe and essentially de-escalating the bomb that's sometimes in us, within the pressure, the fear, and all the other wildness that happens sometimes from external stimuli, internal stimuli, all the maladaptive coping, and all the craziness that we have inside. Realistically, let's learn a little bit more about when we feel threatened and when our body starts to either calm itself back down or ramp itself up based on the threat or the level of safety. Realistically, a lot of it's automatic, but we can also control and reprogram that aspect of our mind and our automatic responses. People do it all the time, in sports, in therapy, and even after, look at strokes, look at other ailments where someone might hurt themselves and they learn how to reconnect the wires within their minds and their bodies. So realistically, healing and trauma, in one of the books that was foundational for me which talked about, reintroducing trauma and letting it go, and how the nerves in our brain are designed to, once it's gone, and once it literally just reintegrates, and you can find an ecosystem back. But then it's all the other things that we tell ourselves that get in the way. That's really what we're going to talk probably more in the next chapter. But this chapter is all about realizing some of the automatic nervous systems and all the automatic systems and the non-automatic systems within our body. So we really talked about the reptilian brain and just talking a little bit more about that in high level, because that and the sense of fight or flight is what really causes that initial sensation, and that's when our body goes into, reaction mode. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited to figure out how we can work together to start finding a sense of regulation and at least laying some of the foundations for that. A lot of the information is meant to stack, but a lot of it is also very high level. So you can do your own research, you can make your own decisions, because there's probably 1,000 ways to get to the same destination. This is the most efficient way based on my own experience and based on my knowledge and based on what I've learned. But realistically, you might be able to go from A to Z, or from Z to Y to N to P, that might solve you. I'm taking you through my formula of A, B, C, D based on the A series, which is about changing A, C, and the E. Again, none of these fucking letters matter, because this is my own subjective formula. And that's a lot of what you'll hear sometimes in media, in the books. I mean, we have all summarized and put trust into beliefs and thoughts based on society, based on our own internal beliefs. But the goal is to figure out what is mine and what is someone else's, and then to be able to delineate that difference, and then to reprogram your mind and your beliefs and your thoughts into truly what you truly believe on the inside, based on your gut, based on your intuition, fight or flight. So let's go. The watchtower is the part of our brain, the midbrain, which I really talk about. To me, this is the part that just was so unprogrammed with wrong programming. It just wasn't functioning as well as I could have. So it's funny, like I thrive in a state of fight or flight. The success that I achieve in business, the success that I achieved in academia, the success that I did from turning trauma into power was all done through keeping in my fight or flight response and just literally holding it in all of this decades. Because to me, without it, it was almost like boring. It was almost not as intense. It was not as powerful. And the reason why we talk about the fight or flight response is once you're always in it, it becomes chronic, and you're not able to heal. And why is that? It's because when we're in fight or flight, our parasympathetic nervous system. Let me say that one more time. Parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system. PNS. Realistically, the why that is important is that part is the part that handles calming us down. It handles rest, diet. It handles healing. When that part is not activated, when the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response system, the part that goes into when you're in fight or flight, literally is running the show. And then the other part of us that does the healing, that does digestion, that does a lot of the other ailments of our healing, and not ailments, but the functions of our being isn't on while the other part is on. So that's why this whole thing that we're talking about first is believing you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. I'm using this with my experience of trauma, change, pain, potential. For you and your side, it's going to be anything. And that's the part I'm really enjoying. So me, I love leadership. I love training and developing and helping others in the professional sense. But that is a small process of everyone's growth and everyone's journey. But realistically, you can't force it. Like, it is something that people have to do on their own. So for me, I'm really enjoying the education of this. I'm hoping by the end of this series, anyone who wants to truly work and change or heal or build their dreams, this is the foundation based on a leadership, action, and an execution by taking a proactive stance on your healing journey. So, step 1, can you do it? Do you want to do it? That's chapter 1. Chapter 2 is there's going to be some blockers and things in you that is literally getting in the way. You cannot heal if you're in fight or flight. You cannot sometimes create and do if your body is also on the other side. We're like, listen, I just need to keep eating. I keep needing to rest and be depressed and do all this other stuff because I feel like I'm broken, or I feel like I'm just too burnt out from all the other stress. So your body's going to flip-flop. So realistically, you have to calm both sides of it down and to be present. You can't be stuck in the past, or you can't be afraid of the future, because if you are, you're never in the present. So that's really what this is about. Is I'm hoping this chapter helps you see the blockers, regardless of where the blocker is, whether it's on my body just needs to focus on too much eating and too much resting because it feels like there's just too much and I need all this other energy to produce, or you're always in fight or flight and you're not able to rest and you're almost just too hyper-focused and too hyper-vigilant and just an overdrive like me. But the problem for me is the more I was in hyperdrive, the more my body needed to go into in the sympathetic nervous system and actually heal. But that's a whole nother topic of going, to extremes. And that's why, no matter which path you're on, are you healing or are you trying to unlock more of your potential? Either way, the content here is for you. I don't think I explained that probably until now, but it is here for anyone, whether you're on a healing journey or on a building journey. This is for you. So this episode was more of a wrap up of what and why, and understanding truly another layer down of the why. Every time I say here's the reason why, and I'm just going down deeper and deeper for you to really understand. So episode 2D, we're going to really get more into the limbic system and these two nervous systems that we have, and understanding how to get them to both work, so then you can be a little bit more in a neutral, because that's a great place to be as well. But anyways, this is a lot of information. Let's restart this.